Welcome to QI, the quiz show that glows in the dark. Tonight we're peering through the gloom at subjects of illumination and invisibility. Joining me under the covers with a torch, a packet of crisps, and the latest edition of the Gentleman's Magazine, we have the enlightened Jack D. The illuminating Chris Addison. The incandescent Rich Hall. And that bright spark, Alan Davis. Now, should any of you wish to draw attention to your brilliance, you can light up my life in the following manner. Jack goes... Chris goes... Rich goes... and Alan goes... Good. Now, each of you should have a set of cards. During the course of the game, I want you to see if you can find out what these international symbols stand for. You can decide for yourself. You can write underneath, on top, beside. They are all recognised international symbols for some very, truly real...
That's Lady Gaga.
You've already made your mind up. You've also got a question-marked little joker card. One of the questions I asked tonight has the answer, basically, nobody knows. And if you can guess which... Yes.
Nobody knows.
There you are. That caught you by surprise. Yes. If you can guess which question it is to which there is an answer that nobody knows, you'll get extra points. Now, in 1879, the Blackpool illuminations began. They were visited by up to 100,000 people from all over Britain and were so bright that they were described as artificial sunshine. And my question simply is, how many lamps did they use?
I love the idea that people of Blackpool consider this to be like sunshine.
Oh, are you saying we don't know? We do know, I'm afraid. Oh, we know precisely how many they used.
Oh, we did.
Hang on, 1879?
Yes.
So this is before the invention of the bulb?
Well done. Certainly before the invention of the filament bulb by Thomas Alva Edison, yes.
You know, he didn't have the idea for the bulb, he had an idea for something else. And they went, bing! Oh, hey!
Hey, that's very good.
I'll do that instead.
Yes.
It is, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. It wasn't light bulbs as we know them. They were carbon arc lamps, which such as were still used by the film industry right up until the 1980s. 100,000 people visited. My question remains, how many lamps did they use to draw that many people? 100,000. 12 lamps. Yeah, damn close. It's 8.
Is it?
Yes. That's what's so extraordinary. 8 at a distance of 370 yards apart. It was still astonishing enough. No one had ever seen anything like it to draw crowds.
Because then there wasn't much to do, was there?
Because it caused light, and everything else was gaslight, which is a very different sort of light. And this was a white, bright, daylight sort of light.
So what did moths do before then?
I don't know what moths... I mean, why don't moths come out during the day if they're so fond of the bloody light? Really?
Maybe they could just sit still then, couldn't
Yeah.
they? Wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
It's very peculiar. But Blackpool, on the other hand, were keen to attract people, and it worked, as you probably know, and as you spoke of as a lad from the northwest yourself, and in fact from all over Britain, people every September go, just as the season is ending, the illuminations go up and they attract millions of people. And, of course, fabulous celebrities come to turn on the... can you name some of the...
Well, once, I think Jane Mansfield did it
Very
once upon a time.
good, Chris Addison.
Wait.
There she is.
Yeah.
Jane Mansfield came.
Woohoo!
Yes.
And then,
yes,
and then the lads from Top Gear, so they've maintained the quality.
The bloke on the left can't believe it.
That's the mayor, I think.
Oh, this is terrific. The mayoress is delighted.
Yes, it is. Well, But other people have opened it. Red Rum, they made a special sort of pedal so that when he trod on it, it turned on. That was in 1977.
And then they electrocuted him.
Michael Ball in 1997, and in 2006, Dale Winton. I think,
Oh, they should have electrocuted him.
I think they've peaked. Where can they go from there?
Exactly.
Dale's definitely...
They've reached the top, haven't they?
Yeah, they-
But it cost them £50,000 worth of electricity
To get
every
Dale
year.
Winton?
Well, not
No, of electricity to get, to run the illuminations.
not anymore, because they use those low-energy light bulbs. So there's no point going for the first 15 minutes of the illuminations. You have to wait. You have to wait for it to warm up. The countdown. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Come back in 15 minutes.
that's
It'll
right.
be lovely.
Well, there you are. Yeah, the original Blackpool illuminations consisted of 8 bulbs. Today, they're 6 miles long and use 200 miles of wire and 1 million light bulbs. Now, if you can dispel the shadows on this one for me, I'd be very grateful. What is this man about to do? It's to do with our theme, one of our I words.
Invisible.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to say they're going to turn invisible, you're going to get terribly excited and imagine they're going to disappear completely. But nonetheless, it is technology that is on the way to invisibility. It certainly creates a transparent coat, as you will see. That's not a post. That's not a post effect. That is happening in real time. That's being filmed there. That's that, and that's the coat there, and that's it being filmed.
The two cameras, aren't there? There's a camera...
Yes, so what's happening?
Superimposing the front camera onto the picture on the back camera.
Essentially, that's the technique, and it does actually have interesting applications that are beginning to be developed, allowing pilots to see through the floors of their planes, for example.
It's just why, just to scare the shit out of them. God, keep in mind of my job. Holy shit, keep looking up.
That could be the reason. That could be the reason. But yeah, I mean, it's quite a good effect, isn't it? He's called Professor Susumutachi, and the cloak is made of a material called retroreflectum. And as Jack rightly spotted, it's projecting an image onto itself of what is behind the wearer. The computer generates the image that's projected, so the viewer effectively sees through it.
That would really screw them up at airports, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't that be very odd?
Going through security.
One of those.
It'd be great for talking to boring people. You could just look straight through them. What's going on behind them?
I mean, cloaking technology, as we know, is at its... It's at an early stage. The Romulans have it, I believe.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Ron Weasley's car can go invisible. Ron Weasley's dad,
Yes,
Ford Anglia,
Ford Anglia, yes.
can go
Yes.
invisible.
That's true.
But that does wear the battery out.
Yes, exactly. And Harry has an invisibility cloak.
Invisibility cloak.
There are some quite interesting technologies that make things invisible, which have some limitations. One is that it's only in infrared, or one is on objects which are so small as they are already invisible to the naked eye. You see that thing you can't see?
Yeah.
Ta-da! I've just made it invisible. That kind of doesn't really work, does it? Interestingly, of course, in nature, they've got round this problem, not exactly of invisibility, but of, well, there is camouflage.
Chameleons and
Octopuses,
changing
Jane. I
them.
saw an octopus once, and it appears to change the colour of its skin and just looks like a rock.
Yes.
Amazing to watch.
Yeah, and other cephalopods, notably the Hawaiian bobtail squid, like your octopus, can camouflage itself. But the one thing that might give you away if you camouflage yourself is your shadow. And this clever chap can even make his shadow invisible.
But what, he's got iridescence
Yeah,
that he can use to light behind him.
You're very quick mind, you're absolutely right. He ingests bioluminescent food that goes into his stomach, and his stomach controls, by the use of oxygen, how much the bioluminescent food in his stomach shines, and it shines out and casts a light over his own shadow, thus dispelling it.
Where
It's a
can you
lot of
buy
bother
this
to
food?
go to, though, isn't it, to be honest?
It's a magnificent piece of evolution, really. Jim Lovell, who was
The
Astronaut?
the astronaut, Apollo 13 astronaut, all his instruments died when he was a naval pilot, and he was at sea in complete blackness. I think there was no moon as it happened that particular night, and how could he find his aircraft carrier? And he could just see this very faint phosphorescent wake of the aircraft carrier, which itself was over the horizon. So he just followed it and followed it and followed it, and eventually he got to the aircraft carrier and landed on it. There's a lot of life at sea that is luminescent. It's quite beautiful.
It was a very rare occurrence.
Yes.
That luminescence happened every so often. When it happened to Lovell, it was a complete coincidence that it happened to be that day.
Right.
So it wouldn't always have happened.
So he was a doubly lucky man.
Very lucky man,
surviving
yeah.
13 as well, yes.
Yeah.
So you knew the story already?
I did, yeah. Well, I'm at the moon, that's my thing.
It is, isn't it? I'd forgotten that. You're very much a moon
Yeah.
chap. Getting extra points all the way to Chris Addison. We're beginning to get a little bit humiliated by him.
Yeah,
aren't we?
might as well.
Chris, well, do you know what these mean?
I think I've got a guess.
Actually, during the Indonesian confrontation, as it was called, in the early 60s, the British Army were very puzzled as to how the Indonesians could travel in the darkest forest, and they'd all stay together in single file completely, and they would tuck a rotting leaf into the back of their hats, and it gave off just enough phosphorescence for them to see the person ahead, and they could stay in absolute line.
Is that in any rotting...
I don't think it's any rotting thing. I think they knew which leaves to pick in the forest. Now, what do these people do for a living behind me here?
This thing's going to go off, isn't it? Ninja.
Oh!
Yeah, there you go. Are they not ninjas?
No, they're not ninjas. The darkest clothes ninjas have ever worn have been blue, possibly at night, but ninjas never wear black. The reason that ninjas...
Why? It's so slimming. I always thought ninjas might be fat, and that's why they...
Yes, in order to look better.
Yeah, is that better for me?
No, it's a sort of odd thing, is that there is a tradition in kabuki theatre that if anything is black, you can't see it. So people can move furniture around and things like that. Because they're wearing black, they are stagehands. And then, as a rather wonderful surprise in kabuki, they might have a stagehand suddenly kill someone. And because there'd be a ninja, because the ninjas were the secret assassins. And so this association, this pop association appeared that ninjas wore black, but they never did. Staying with Japan for a moment, tell me something quite interesting about the original geishas.
They're all men.
Yes!
Oh, God.
Absolutely right. Bravo! Until 1751, all geishas were men. Originally, geisha was almost more like court jesters. They were not courtesans, as they're often considered to be now. And then it took about 100 years before they were sort of even number, and then the female geishas sort of overtook, and now they're all female. Now, how about an ingenious interlude? Have a look at this glass tank behind you and tell me how many balls there are in there.
1, 2, 3,
Well done, Alan.
4.
So far, so good.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, 5.
The worst episode of the National Lottery.
So how many are in there, would you say? 5.
5.
5. Well, it looked like 5, didn't it? You might be rather surprised to know that there are actually over 1,000 glass balls in there.
1,000.
And we can show you perhaps a better view of how many there are. What's that? Look. They're all invisible, and in fact, we have an example of precisely these kinds of... There they are.
Yeah, they're gooey.
They're really weird. They're called hydrogel beads.
But I can't see them.
You can see them, yes, and we deliberately allowed them to be visible. But in large glass tanks, they wouldn't be
If you
visible.
push one underwater, it goes invisible.
Exactly, and they have the same refractive index as water, which, as you know,
Which means lights can pass through at the same angle.
So they appear to be invisible in water.
We can't see it!
Yeah.
Quick, a hairdryer.
It's gone down the set.
Is there a
Suddenly going to start floating away.
use for them?
Yeah, there we are. I've got a glass of water there.
Are
It's
they
got-
worth
got about
£500
7.
each?
Are they edible?
I wouldn't want to take responsibility, but I don't think they'll do you any harm.
Try one.
What are they... What are they used for?
Well, they have a commercial use, actually.
Oh, I broke it.
Oh, no. Is it burst?
Yeah, it burst.
No, it's sort of gone into pieces, actually.
It's like, oh, yes, it's rather strange little material.
Oh,
can you guess their
Terminator.
commercial use?
Packing things.
No, flower arranging is one.
Is it for packing goldfish when you get them through
Why aren't they making battleships out of this stuff?
Isn't it? Well, who knows? All kinds of new
Submarines.
uses
Make a
may be
submarine
found.
out of it.
I have to say, this feels gorgeous.
It's quite good, isn't it?
It's
It's quite a
actually
good
quite
feel.
addictive, isn't it?
It's really...
It's quite-
Yeah, there's something quite gorgeous about that.
Yeah.
It's just...
Might have a play around with that later.
Yep, he might. Another use is the manufacture of... Behave.
Yes, disgusting.
Another use...
Jack's going to put his willy in it.
Oh, Oh, dear.
I've already put it in that one.
It's weird, because when you put it in, you couldn't see it.
It has the same refractive index.
Every time you think of a comeback.